guys, this is the highly anticipated ChatGPT video. I'm going to walk you through two things in which I utilize ChatGPT on a weekly basis at this point. This is going to be very helpful and I generally hope it provides you value. If you like the video, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and let your friends know I'm making this content. Let's go. If you haven't used ChatGPT, the way I would explain it in very layman terms is imagine Google, but it is very human-like, almost as a customer service bot. Typically, if you're on websites and you ask it questions, it prompts you an answer in a more human-like way. This is the perfect analogy. It's like a Google search that responds in a customer bot experience. So any question that you may have and you ask it, most of the time, it's going to give you a very solid answer. From what I've seen, it's so resourceful in what you could do with it. And it's always triggered a lot of ideas in which how I could utilize it on a day-to-day basis and be practical with it, right? My opinion is knowledge without any practicality behind it is just, it's useless, right? It's just additional knowledge that you don't need, right? Ideally, we try to monetize our ideas and the knowledge and leverage that, right, to grow. So one of the things that I've been doing lately is dedicating 30 minutes to an hour session and what I call rabbit hole sessions. And this ties to Elon Musk's rule of first principles theory. And I'm not exactly sure if he invented this, but I heard him talk about this on a podcast. And the general gist of it is that any concept and anything you want to learn in life, you have to 100% understand the foundation of that concept in order to incrementally learn in that. The perfect analogy for this would be in math. Typically, at a certain grade, at a certain level, people just get completely lost in math class. And the reason being is that they may have skipped one step and that foundation was going to be incrementally useful for everything that was going to be learned after that. So ideally, whatever niche or industry you're in, you want to be masterclass in what you do. And in having ChatGPT, you could treat this as sort of like a mentor or a tutor that's at your disposal 24/7 and has all the knowledge that's out there on the internet. So it's pretty insane when you think about it that way. And I would just highly encourage, as a number one thing, is to just mess around with ChatGPT. Even if you've never used it before, trust me, you're going to want to know how to use this. This would be the equivalent of not knowing to use Google maybe in the next 3 to 5 years. So let's show you some specific examples that I like to do, right? So in the case for my personal experience, I'm very much into finance and stocks and equity markets. So I could give it a general question of what is a stock, right? So a couple of things to note while this is prompting the answer. The first thing is that if there's ever an explanation that ChatGPT gives you and you don't understand what it's saying, you could always prompt another question and say, can you explain this to me as you were explaining it to a 5-year-old or to a 5th grader? And it will break down the same knowledge, the same concept in a much simpler way. And I've seen this to be extremely powerful, especially when you've been in an industry for a number of years. It's always refreshing and it honestly makes you very clear and detailed into what you need to know and how to explain it to someone that's not as advanced in that subject as you are. So in this case, let's take a look at the response it gave me when I asked, what is a stock? In general sense, it's saying when a company wants to raise money, it could issue stocks and sell them to investors. Each stock represents a small portion of ownership in the company, and shareholders are entitled to the portion of the company's profits. So if I read that for the first time and I wanted to learn more about what shareholders are, I would say, what are shareholders? And this exercise is simple, but it's effective because you are going to freaking dial in and get through all these concepts you don't know in a short time frame, in a 30-minute to an hour session. And the more you do this repetitively, the more well-rounded you'll be in terms of knowledge on that specific field, because any little question, you've already justified it, you've already answered it beforehand. So yeah, this is excuse me, this is the general sense of what I mean by the rabbit hole sessions. It's very simple but very effective. I'm telling you, your knowledge will grow significantly if you do this on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis. Okay. The second thing, I've been getting questions on how to program. I want to learn how to code Python, SQL, VBA, and this right here is going to be the ultimate lab for you to get coding. Well, get sorry. This is the ultimate life hack to learn how to program relatively fast. The first thing that I would advise is ask ChatGPT to give you maybe a 3-month program. So here on the message board, you'd say, give me a 3-month, let's say, agenda to learn Python. Now it's going to prompt you a whole course. And this is the beauty of it, because now once you have the curriculum, you can now break down each number and say, okay, like I need to focus on this specific piece. So you could either search it on YouTube, or I would even recommend just staying right here in the ChatGPT interface and say, okay, give me a project on this, give me more details on this certain concept, break this down for me. And the beauty of it is, if you could tie back to what I said earlier about phrasing questions as you were explaining to a 5-year-old, this is going to be the meta skill that you will gain from this, because now you have a mentor slash tutor next to you, teaching you and guiding you on this coding journey. When I started learning how to program, I had a book and I had Google and I had GitHub, and those are all really good resources. But this is just on another level. And the reason being is that this can also give you actual code, right? So if I could think of any random example, I could pretty much ask it to program that for me. So let's say write a Python script that automates emails from Gmail, right? So ideally, I don't know if this one will work, but yeah, it seems like it's writing a code here. And the beauty of it is, if you're already into coding, and first and foremost, I like to emphasize, this won't really make sense if you haven't learned anything about coding, but just bear with me for 1 second. If you're already into programming, you simply just copy this into a text editor like Visual Studios, and you just run it on your command prompt. And ideally, it should work. And I've seen stories that sometimes it doesn't, but it's fine, because then you could just troubleshoot your code here. You could put in the error that the code is giving you, and it's going to give you an explanation of what it does. So that's one massive way you could do it. The second way you could do it is, if you already have code, this works as just, a teammate or a freelancer. Right now, I'm just pasting a code that scrapes House of Representatives stock trades, and it's actually will give you an explanation of what the code does entirely, and it's just massive, because from there you could just implement more things and enhance it or make updates to it frequently. So in all honesty, if you guys could, for one, do those rabbit hole sessions in your niche for 30 minutes to an hour, set that time. And number two, if you're learning how to code, which is a good amount of you, definitely utilize this on a day-to-day basis. And I promise you, you're going to make massive, massive leaps. But other than that, this AI is going to be life-changing. A lot of jobs are going to be affected, and a lot is going to change. A lot's going to change. So highly recommend you guys look into it. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, always feel free to reach out on any of my social platforms. And like I said before, if you like the video, make sure to like the video, tell your friends I'm making this content, and have a good day, guys. Peace.